Today we are gonna cover 4 different Metroidvania games. For ones that have been wondering what really Metroidvania is. Actually, Metroidvania name comes from 2 different games. One is Metroid series released in way back in 1986, and the second is Castlevania 2 released in 1987. If we merge these 2 names, we get the name of Metroidvania. But how Metroidvania affects the gameplay? Metroidvania games actually really similar to 2D action games. But in these games, in start, game gives you multiple paths to choose, but some of them might be inaccessible. While you progress in the game, you get the new skills or new weapons. With these ones, you can now access the other paths that unlocked over the skills and the weapons. This method requires well-designed map and the skills. If we are done with our explanation, we can may start with our first game, Demon's Crest. To be honest, just aside, this may be the one of the coolest intros I ever seen. So, what is the Demon's Crest? Demon's Crest is a game of franchise named Ghosts and Goblins. This is the third game we play as Firebrand, our character. Game starts with a tutorial boss and the leader level, and then we encounter with the Gargoyle Commander Arma. Then we get introduced with the crest mechanics. There is total of 7 crests in this game. What the crest, you may ask? Our gargoyle can morph into other gargoyle species. For example, Earth Crest. This gargoyle can shoot strong projectiles, but it doesn't have any wings, so you can't stand in the air with this one. Also, he can dash and break some walls with that one, or move some objects. There's other crest gargoyles too. Air Crest can fly upwards but can't hold into places, and its projectile is too weak but can kill specific enemies with one hit. And the Water Crest, this gargoyle can just swim. Time Crest gargoyle just has doubled health. And there's 5 other fire types you can shoot from the Firebrand. And there is also Infinite Crest, which you can get only completing game 100%. And it's really hard. I missed few HP upgrades through the gameplay. And there was a goddamn Skull Crush minigame too. I couldn't do it because I have severe skill issues, so I gave my friend to do it. Thanks to his precious skills.
Kolaydı. Çok kolaydı. Epeyce kolaydı. Kolay.
And the thing is, Ultimate Gargoyle does is just combination of all gargoyles. And there is the talismans you can equip too, can give you power ups. There's some elixirs and spells too, but they are pretty much useless in this point. I only use the heal potion. And with this one you can get a wide range to play as you like. You equip Time Crest and the Armor Talisman, now you're immortal. Or you equip the Demon Fire and the Hand Talisman, you can now cheese the bosses. I wouldn't expect to this game have a build variety. This game is so over its time. For example, you can look at the level screen. You just go around the world and land whenever you want. Even though this is a Metroidvania, you can still choose a level, but you can't explore the big portions of the levels without the crest powers. In the genre of Metroidvania games, game doesn't allow you to choose a level. Even in game, that's a thing, it's really limited. With this choice, this game is kinda similar to Mega Man games. To be honest, finding the secrets is way easier when I compare the games that went out at the same time. If I speak about the difficulty, this game is hard. Too hard than other games I will compare. There is some bosses that will die in phases when you occur them weaknesses. But without the weaknesses, these bosses just won't die. Bosses has a lot of health in this game. Especially for Phalanx, the last boss of the game. But bosses are really well designed and I really enjoyed fighting them. Same for the maps and the level design. It's not really hard to find other paths in the levels, but it's not really easy too. There is an invisible wall technique in the game, which a kinda lazy solution for me, but it's okay. And enemies is really good designed. There is few enemy classes like Winged and armored enemies which can be killed by the specific weapons so easy. When I come to the art side of the game, animations and the sprites was beyond of their time and still really good today. It really gives you that aesthetic, gothic fantasy that you are the villain in it. For the musics, these are just amazing musics. I am just currently using the game's music on the background. Let me give you an example. It's still so successful that gives you gothic aesthetic. And there is one thing that I want to add too. And there is a boss you can beat with only Ultimate Gargoyle, the Dark Demon. And this boss is just, it should be a joke. For this boss I set up myself a cheat and shoot at the boss for 10 minutes straight, only die after that. I'm shameful that I used cheats, but this should be a joke. But after all, another Capcom game, another masterpiece. And it's now time for our second game. Blasphemous 2 released in 2023, so it's pretty much a new game, but Blasphemous series might be the best Metroidvania games for a while. The story about a world controlled by a god named Miracle, and we are the penitent ones who try to stop the miracles fake priced, and the game starts with Miracle giving birth to another child. The three games I will cover with this one counts as Souls-like games. Souls-like names comes from a game named Dark Souls. In Souls-like games, game does not take autosave. When you die, you can only resurrect at places named bonfires. And when you die, you drop your soul at the place you died. And when you die, you will lose your resources or get some debuffs. Only way to get these resources back, or removing the debuff, going back to place you died and get back your soul. And if you die again without getting your soul, your resources will be permanently gone. And one of the important things in the Souls games is dodge that gives you iframes. In these games, while you are dodging, your characters will be immune to all damage for few frames. And this game has this too. When you die, you will drop your Guid fragment, and it limits your fervor bar, which acts like mana bars for the spells or the skills. In the start of the game gives us option to choose between three weapons: Sarmiento and Centella, Veredicto, and Ruggiero al Alba. Sarmiento and Centella is a dagger and a rapier. It's the fastest weapon amongst all the weapons. This weapon charges with electricity upon any hit. With this one you can inflict enormous damage, but when you get the damage, the buff will be disappear. You can do few skills with this weapon's electricity. I started with this weapon on my first playthrough, and most important thing of this weapon, you can teleport with silver mirrors you find through the game by hitting the windows with the weapon. Veredicta is a big mace, can inflict big damage, but unlike the Sarmiento and Centella, this weapon is slow, and you can lit this mace for the extra damage, but it uses a lot of fervor. And there's also other skills you can unlock with the Veredicta. The unique skill of this weapon, you can use the chimes you find through the game with Veredicta, and these chimes will activate some platforms and the doors for a time. Ruggiero al Alba is the most balanced weapon amongst the all. The unique skill of this weapon is Grand Slam. You can inflict great damage with slamming the ground from the up. Also, Bloodsucking skill can heal the penitent one, and with the Grand Slam skill you can destroy some walls. There's a ton of parkour skills to get through the game. Makes the parkour of the game is really fun. There's also Rosary Bead and the statue mechanic. There's some Rosary Bead items you can find through the game. Rosary Beads often gives you elemental defense and some special buffs. The statues are same too, but they are more offensive side. And there is also Marks of Martyrdom. You can spend the Marks of Martyrdom to buy more skills for the weapons or buy more statues. There's still a lot of things I haven't spoke of, but this part will be so long if I speak about these. Games gives us option to start whatever weapon we want. You still find the other weapons upon your journey. In start there's 3 locations, you can start which ones you want. After that you will fight the bosses with the order. If I talk about the map, this level design is amazingly good. The weapon skills, the parkour skills, we use every one of them. The biggest issue of the Blasphemous 2 is levels are so short. The entirety of game is so short, to be honest. Good enemy design, amazing visuals and the music, but the levels are so short. Even the parkour sections is so short. but they are amazingly good designed. For example, you encounter a place called Two Moons. In the game, you see a reflection of a castle on the sea, but there isn't really a castle there. After you beat a boss, the castle appears to be real, and you go between the reflection and the real castle in the level. And the visuals of this place is inspired by Umayyad Muslims, which historically also true, but it only takes 20 or 30 minutes to clear this level. It's so small, and the difficulty isn't that even that hard. There is some bosses like Eviterno or Odon that I died a lot of time, but the rest of the game isn't that hard. The enemy design is good. There's a lot of elemental type of the enemies, and the enemies are dependent on this. If I talk about the visuality, Blasphemous 2 just makes it perfect. It's even accurate for the historical places. You feel the Christianity signs and the architecture from everywhere, and the musics are just a different level. You already hearing a music from Blasphemous 2 on the background. If we are done, we can get on to our third game. Hollow Knight is a game that's released 7 years ago, so it's not that new when I compare to Blasphemous 2. In Hollow Knight, we are a bug in a world that bugs-like creatures live in and build some kingdoms. We are a creature named Knight, and we try to stop the Radiant disease while we make our way out the kingdom. We can consider this game as Souls-like game too. Some save points and a dodge that gives you iframes. But in this game, when you die, a shadow-like creature just spawns where you died, and you lose all your money when you died. To get your money back, you need to go back to your death point and kill that shadow creature. This game has few unique skills. First is the spells. They are just offensive spells. There are 3 spells. A spell that shoots forward, a spell that ground slam, a spell that shoots upwards, and the nail art you occur in the game is pretty much useless, just a longer and slightly powerful version of your normal attacks. They are so useless that I couldn't find any clips that I use these spells or the nail arts. And there is a big problem with the combat of Hollow Knight, because Knight itself doesn't know how to use his sword. When you attack with the sword, you get launched back too much. I don't want to even mention about getting hit. Knight just feels so weak when getting hit or hitting someone. So combat has some big problems with that. But there is good systems too, like the charm mechanic. There's a lot of charm you can equip through the game. Offensive charms, defensive charms, a charms that completely changes your health mechanic, a charms that change your dash mechanic, a charms that change your spells, like the pretty much everything. It's really good and well designed, to be honest. If I talk about the map is huge. I was able to finish the game with 107% at 53 hours. You maybe think like, oh, there's a lot of things you can do in this game. But you are wrong. In this game you can't teleport between the benches, so you need to walk everywhere, every place. I bet that 10 hours of that gameplay is just walking around. Game has content, okay, I admit that. If you want to finish the game 100%, then you need to walk a lot of time. Enemy designs are great, there's a lot of enemies, a lot of places, and a lot of types. When I come to difficulty, there's a thing about the game I don't really like. You don't have a health bar. When you get a damage, you lose mask, so like every damage hits like 1 mask or 2 mask. It's about preferences. To be honest, I don't really like that. If I talk about the difficulty of game, yeah, this game is kinda hard, especially for the Coliseum. Bosses are fun to fight. Most of them not that hard and not that easy too. For the visuality and the ambient of the places, there's places like, oh, this is a magnificent city. Or there's places like, I'm at the deepest place of this universe and I want to get out of here. It's a bug creature world, so I can't really speak about the architecture and other things in here. It's again the dark fantasy. Musics are mostly relaxing. There is good music for the bosses too. For example, And it's now time for our last game. Like the others, this is a Souls-like game too, but it focuses on the parry mechanics. The story about a species named Soul, and we are a Soul too. And there's war going over the species, so we are attending the war. This is the only game I didn't fully finish among the all games, so I will try to explain as I can. The game's primary mechanic is parry. While you parry, you obtain some orbs. And with the parries, you can perform some spells on the enemies. And there's other weapons I seen through the game, like the Azura Bow, a powerful beam of bow you can shoot, but the magazine only recharges when you sit at the nodes or the bonfires of this game. And there's a mechanic really similar to the charm mechanic from the Hollow Knight, the Jades. And there is some sort of hacking mechanic in this game, but it's so easy that can I compare this as a the puzzle mechanic. The level design is good, really good. The connection of the sections are really good design. There is no bonfire to bonfire teleport in the game yet. The difficulty is, okay, not that hard, not that easy. It's normal, but the bosses are, they are difficult. If I speak about the enemy design, there's so much fear enemy design and the type on the game, and they don't feel so special even. But there's special enemies that I really like to fight with. This ninja look like enemies, and this swordsman's. For the visuals are, I like the art style and the other things, yeah. But the animations are so bad. I can't stand with this. But the enemy and all the round is so bad. Yeah, our design is good, but the enemies, there is no even a variety between them. Like same enemy but yellow, same enemy but it has bow, or it's a dog now. The design is so bad in here. The game is successful to give us the Thai culture and the architecture. The combat is fun, it's better than the Hollow Knight, but the way they visualize this is, it's a wasted potential. And for the music, it's the same, the Thai culture and other things, but it's now cyberpunk. Good vocals and the good instruments. Now it's time for us to compare our games. Bir daha konuş.
Ülke bile değil. Tayvan ülke bile değil. Bak 3000 tane sosyal kredi kazandım ben şimdi, görüyor musun?
Tamam, bunu da biliyor.
Tayvan ülke değil.
Tamam, Tayvan oyun yapamıyor diyor bu adam.
Tayvan oyun yapamamış diyorum. Yapamıyor da yapamamış. Baktım yapamamış.
Çok güzel.
Olmamış yani.
Abi bak, ilk birkaç saatini
Ay,
gördüm.
umurumda bile değil. Umurumda bile değil. Ne desen ben beğenmedim.